I was recently away in the woods for 5 days with no technology, no phone, no internet, just lovely campfires and lovely conversations with lovely people. We used the wood from the forest. We had to dig holes in order to use the toilet. There were no toilets as we know it. And it was an incredible time. And I didn't feel any anxiety. I mean, any crazy amounts of anxiety. Of course, I'm still nervous about things from time to time, but overall it was just simple. It was very simple, and I felt at peace and at ease, and I knew what to do and I knew when to do it. And if I didn't know what to do, I could ask somebody, and they would suggest what the best use of my energy might be. Sometimes it was to help in the kitchen, sometimes it was to play music. And when I say kitchen, I mean it was an outdoor kitchen that we created. So the kitchen was powered by wood from a fire, which we created a hole for in the ground, and then we put a big pot on top. And that's how we made the water hot, and that's how we made porridge and all of these things that we were living off of. After the time in the woods, I came back to, this version of civilization that I most often frequent. And it was a form of culture shock. And perhaps the most challenging part of it for me was to have the phone yet again in my possession and to be online. And I made a video a couple of weeks ago about smartphones, and it really seemed to resonate with a lot of people. A lot of people are sharing these challenges. Since then, I went on this trip and I've gained, even further perspective on the matter. Of course, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, if you stick around, I'm sure we're going to talk about how there are use cases for technology and how it makes everything possible. I mean, here we are on the internet after all. But the most profound thing was that while I was away, while I was off the phone, I just wasn't thinking about people that weren't in front of me for the most part. Maybe I had a fond thought about somebody or some memory or whatever, but fundamentally I was dealing with what was in front of me. And the moment I went back online, I saw all of these messages about things that were kind of trivial or like not relevant. And that's what was there, but then there's also what wasn't there. The messages that I thought would be there that weren't there. And that is more problematic than the messages that are there. Because then my mind starts to create stories around why the messages aren't there. And that really hurts, because we don't think very nice things about ourselves a lot of the time. I'm sure you can relate to that. And the phone, the internet, social media, it's another realm, it's another world that we can project our insecurities into. And that way, you don't even have to leave your couch in order to create these horrible monstrosity stories about yourself. But that didn't happen in the woods. Of course, there's still altercations with people. People sometimes don't get along with other people. That's a natural thing. But when it's happening offline, as in person, you get to the bottom of it a lot sooner, because there's a person in front of you that you're interfacing with, that you're talking with. Of course, they can choose to storm out, just run away from you, but eventually you will have to come to some sort of consensus or conclusion. And that's a real conflict, I suppose you could say. And that's valid. And humans are always going to experience that. But then when we look at the phone, we just create a bunch of conflicts that literally don't exist. And we create stories of our self-worth based on how many text messages we did or did not receive, how fast somebody responded or did not respond, whether someone liked our photo on Instagram or our tweet on Twitter. I find that I often spend a lot of time checking the social medias to see how something has been received or to see if something worked. And that has its place, but it's definitely not necessary to do that every day. And a better thing to do, rather than be checking your emails to see if people have written to you 2 minutes after you sent your email, or checking your stats on YouTube, or seeing how many people liked a post on Instagram, a better thing to do is just go and do more of the thing. Make more content, write more scripts, just create more. Because creating is the thing that's happening. The feedback from your creations, that's cool, but that's not in your control. And the internet really highlights to us the things that aren't in our control, that have never been in our control. And when you step back from it, you realize how insignificant it all is once you take the space. And it only really takes a day. And it helps to remove yourself from your current physical environment, because that's where all the habits exist. When I got home, I was in a house with a room and a bed and a phone and the internet. And I felt all these compulsions to do worldly things that I just would never have thought about in the forest. And I'm saying this to say, if you're having a hard time in life right now, in any aspect of your life, getting rid of your phone is probably gonna cure like 95% of your challenges. And if it doesn't, then it might give you the clarity and insight required to gain new perspective or approach things in a different way. Because if the last week taught me anything, it's that my energy is way beyond my control. And it's not just me, it's most other humans in our Western civilization, as blessed as we are. We're kind of dumb because we can't handle our technology, we can't handle our privilege. And we are letting it take away from us rather than using it as a tool to leverage and show up and be of more value to our society and the communities and the people that we encounter. Just be with the things that are actually in front of you and not the things that might be there. Because you send a text to someone and you're like hoping something might happen, but you don't actually know yet because they haven't responded. Just deal with what's in front of you. And that's easier in the woods than in real life, because in the woods it's like, oh, the fire's about to go out, I better put some wood onto it. Whereas when you're at home, things aren't as urgent, and that's why we end up stagnating on the couch at 3 o'clock in the morning, unable to move even though we've exhausted every possible new item on our news feed. Good to hang out with you again. If you're a creative and you're interested in one-on-one mentorship, there's a link in the description for a free call with me. We can have a chat and see if we could be aligned to work together, support you in achieving your goals. Until next time, have a great day.